Welcome back everybody. In this episode we review the EcoFlow River Pro. Now this is a compact, portable little power station. It's got a 720 watt-hour battery in it, and most importantly, it's got a built-in inverter. So come along as we show you what it's all about. Now I'm pretty excited about this because up until now, our off-grid setups have been entirely 12 volt based. Other than using LPG or butane for cooking, everything else we've been using the battery out of our camper trailer or caravan. Now having an inverter opens up a whole new world of opportunities, so this little beauty is definitely going in our off-grid camping kit, because not only can you charge and run all your 12 volt accessories such as your phones, cameras, fridges, you can also now charge up your laptop on the go, dry your hair, cook some toasties on those cold winter days. This unit's only 850 watts, which I thought was pretty incredible. And I've even dabbled in some induction cooking. We'll get onto this later. But what I'm really liking is we can now pack a few luxuries, such as our pod coffee machine, so we make some nice coffees out in the bush without any dramas at all. These aren't bad. A little bit hot, but that's not a bad thing. And obviously one other huge advantage is this is just so light and portable. You can easily pick it up, carry it around. It weighs just 7.6 kilos, meaning you can pretty much carry it anywhere. So to me, this is an investment that's not just simply fixed or installed in the back of your ute, caravan or camper trailer. It can be shared between all of these depending on what you're doing, which makes it incredibly flexible and handy. So while I've been testing this around the house for the last month or so, we thought it'd be pretty important to take it out camping with us. So we packed up the old Swan and headed out to the beautiful Frying Pan Creek for a nice relaxing weekend away. And to really test this River Pro out. But before we get into that, let's run through some of the specs and delve into what this River Pro can really do. And note at this point, like most of my videos, I've split this episode into chapters. So that makes it easier to navigate through the video and you can skip through various sections as you need to. I've also included an affiliate link in the description below. So use that if you do purchase this model or any of the EcoFlow products, as it helps us out a little bit as well. But while we're on that topic, this isn't just an online brand only. The EcoFlow range of products is available through a whole pile of retail outlets all throughout Australia. And some of the big names as well, such as Harvey Norman, Anaconda, as well as a whole pile of other power solution or camping stores. And to me, that actually provides a little bit of integrity in the product because you've got that backup warranty and service support that you don't otherwise get with some of the online only products. So for me, that's a little bit of peace of mind and why I'm happy to promote something like this, because it really is a really smart, intuitive and well-designed little product, which we'll go into right now. So EcoFlow essentially have two ranges when you're looking at their power station products. You have the Delta range, which is their larger capacity and output units, And then you have the River, which is their more portable and compact range. And if you're in the market for a portable power bank, it's definitely worthwhile going to check out the EcoFlow website. It's actually really quite good, and it makes it very easy to go through and compare all their products, even between the River series and the Delta series, just to work out what you need for your particular instance. The River Pro sits at the top of the tier with the most capacity and, more importantly, the largest input wattage, which is where the magic really starts. So this is powered by a lithium-ion battery with a capacity of around 60 amp hours. Now that's not very big, I hear you say, but it charges really quickly. EcoFlow's X-Charge function, which forms part of its very intelligent BMS system, actually allows an input of 660 watts, which is impressive considering most of the portable power banks in this size are typically limited to around 200 watt input. And this tiny little unit will output up to 1800 watts. Because the X-Boost function in this River Pro allows a 600 watt inverter, which is fairly standard across the River range, to surge up to 1800 watts. But generally, the safe bet is around 1000 to 1200 watts. And what that allows you to do is to run some larger appliances you wouldn't normally consider with a 600 watt inverter. So what does all that mean? Well, simply put, if you're charging this from a 240 volt outlet, it will charge from dead flat up to 80% in under an hour. And then if you want to charge it from dead flat to full, it'll take around about 1.5 hours. With your solar, it's got a maximum 200 watt, 12 amp input. And again, they say that will charge from dead flat to full in around about 4 to 5 hours. That's obviously dependent on the efficiency of your panels, the sunlight you've got, and whether or not you're chasing shadows around if you're camping in a nice bushy spot. I found that generally my panels, from around 50% charge, will generally top this up to 100% in around about 3 hours, which again isn't bad. It means you can top it up in the morning, run it for a little while, top it back up in the afternoon, and you're ready to go for the night time. And then obviously you've got the 12 volt cigarette lighter input that goes into your vehicle, and that will charge this up in around about 8 hours. So the benefit of this high input is that while it's quick to charge from home, if you're out camping and you're stuck in some inclement weather, you can't quite get the charge in, you do have the option of going for a bit of a drive and charging it from your vehicle. It's not quite as quick, but if you can duck into town, for example, you can pop this on a mains outlet and top it up really quickly to get you through the next few days. So it's really handy having that up your sleeve, particularly if you're traveling in poor weather or during the winter months. The unit itself measures 29 centimeters long, it's 18 centimeters deep and roughly 23 centimeters high. So it's very compact and will fit pretty much anywhere when you're packing to go away on a trip, and doesn't take up too much room if you've got a real compact camping setup. Design-wise, I actually think this is quite an elegant solution. Its symmetry across the front, how it flows from the side with the input across to the front, and how you use it with the output on the other side, it all flows and works really well. The lines of the packaging are all nice and smooth, and more importantly, this feels really robust. Not that you want to drop it while you're camping, it feels it can take a few knocks and bruises while you're out there and traveling around, which is an important factor. The plastic is really hard and it does feel durable. And even the handle itself, while it's all nice and aero and smooth, it's got these real strong 4 mounting points onto the top of it. So when you pick it up, it doesn't really feel like it's going to fall apart. And to me, that's another good sign of a decent product. And that takes us on to what do you get? So this retails in Australia for $1,399. So let's say $1,400. It comes with a full 2-year warranty. And I see this as a full plug and play solution for those that have fairly light power needs. This is more than enough to run a camping fridge, your camp lights, charge all your devices for those that don't have any power at the moment. So if you're on the hunt for something that will actually suit your needs for a weekend camping trip away, or even a few weeks, this will do the job perfectly combined with a solar panel. It's also a great supplement for those that have a smaller capacity AGM battery like what we've got in our Swan here. We've got a 120 amp hour AGM, and by adding this into our camping kit, we've got all that extra power that we can actually take some luxuries along, like our coffee pod machine, an induction cooker, a hairdryer, just to run them without depleting the main house battery on our camper trailer, as well as running the camp fridge. And also, while this video is obviously focused on using the EcoFlow while you're camping, it is perfectly good to use at home also. It is actually suited to be a small UPS backup, but in the case of a blackout, this is perfectly fine to run your fridge, charge your devices and all that sort of gear. So you'll note on the left-hand side, there's a flap here that has all nicely illustrated icons that match all the packaging material that you get with the EcoFlow products. And this little flap you lift up, and that gives access to all the inputs you need to charge this particular power station. And so to charge this up from mains, they provide a standard computer-style 3-prong cable that simply goes into the back of the unit like so, and then you plug it into your power point. The good thing about this cable is you'll note it's just a straight cable. It doesn't have any power converters or anything like that, which means if you lose it, it's extremely easy to replace as it's a standard IEC cable. Next you have your 12-volt charging cable, which has a cigarette lighter attachment which goes into the rear of your vehicle, for example, and it plugs into this yellow port using our XT60 connector. Now I don't know how popular these are over in Australia, however it's very easy to get cables for these, particularly when you start doing solar, as this is also the solar input, which we'll get onto shortly. But you simply plug this in, plug the other end into your vehicle and it will charge while you're travelling along. You also get this standard accessory cable that plugs into the 12-volt ports on the front of the unit, and these are fairly standard cables that will plug into things such as our 12-volt Coleman 12-inch fan and also work lights and things like that that use these older style plugs. And now when it comes to solar input, they don't actually provide a specific solar cable. You need to source your own that suits your particular solar panel's connectors. The input end is obviously going to be an XT60 that plugs into the side of the EcoFlow, and in my case I've sourced a lead that has an Anderson plug on the other end that connects up to all our solar panels. I actually got this from Clean Portable Power that happens to be an EcoFlow reseller, so that was pretty handy as well. Now EcoFlow do actually sell an adapter cable themselves that has the XT60 input, and then it's got the MC4 connectors that some solar panels use. But we're obviously using the Anderson plug, which is pretty standard across most solar panels and 12-volt connections in Australia. And now we'll get into how this unit works. So the first step is to turn the unit on, and that will turn on the display and get it all up and running. Now you can actually toggle this display off and then back on if you want, depending on the circumstance that you're using it. Where you would turn this off is if it's inside a tent or your camper trailer, for example, and you didn't want this large glow while you're trying to sleep. I will note that generally this screen will time out and go to the blank screen when you're not using it, but you do have that option to turn it on and off depending on what you want to do. And the display on this is really easy to understand and shows you pretty much everything you need while you're using it. In the middle here you have the current state of charge that is shown both as a percentage and the graphical bar that wraps around that. Input and output wattage is on the left hand side, and interestingly that will also show your output wattage at 12 volt as well as 240 volt AC, and it's really handy to monitor how heavy this machine is working, particularly on 240 volt. And then on the left here is a discharge indicator which gives you roughly how many hours or minutes you've got left running at that output range. So if you're running this at 600 watts and above, this will come down quite drastically and give you an hour or 30 minutes depending on what state of charge you actually have. And then you obviously have all your information and warning indicators that illuminate as they need to, that run along the top and bottom. So it's pretty comprehensive and it gives you a lot of information while you're using the unit. It's also important to note that you can actually use this unit while you're charging it, and it will adjust and adapt depending on the input versus the output at that particular stage as well. So it's quite intuitive and it's really handy just to follow along to make sure you're traveling okay and you're going to make it either through the night or through the next day if you've got a little bit of poor weather. And now all this information on the display panel crosses over to the EcoFlow app. So you can actually connect your phone to the power station and monitor everything it's doing. On top of that, you can also adjust and change a number of settings, such as you can turn X boost on and off. We'll get onto that shortly. And you can also do things such as slow the cooling fan down, just so it's not so loud if you've got this sitting somewhere where you're trying to sleep or something like that. And from the app, you can also control the unit. So there are a number of switches which we'll go into shortly. You can control all of them from the app, so you can turn things on and off remotely without having to run up to the unit and do it manually via each of the buttons that are located on here. Now that might sound a little bit lazy, but that's actually quite handy because you can plug in such things as your camp lights. You can leave that plugged in the whole time. And where that becomes a bit of an advantage is at night time, you're packing everything away, you go inside your camper trailer or caravan, you can actually remotely turn this off once you're safely inside. Also, if you need to get up and go to the loo during the night or you need to check something out, you can just quickly turn this on without having to reach down, fumble around the dark and press the button to turn it on. So there's a few advantages there, and they're just little luxuries that help you out along the way. And while we're down here close to the front of the unit, we'll start running through the other features. Obviously, you've got this light here, and a lot of the feedback from reviews I've read along the way is that it's fairly unnecessary these days. But it does actually have another advantage, again, getting back to that nighttime camping. If you've got all your gear and devices plugged in here charging, you can quickly flick this light on and see what you're doing, so you can plug things in and out. There's also obviously a safety feature with that, in that it has different levels of brightness and also that flashing strobe light. So if you were in trouble, you've got a lot of battery capacity in here where you can have that strobe light flashing. So if you're waiting for someone to come out and find you, it's a really good function that you can run that. But obviously you're not going to pick this unit up and carry it around like a torch because it's a little bit too cumbersome and heavy. But that's where the light does have an advantage, and you can manually flick it on and off, and also through the app. And then there's 4 USB ports on the front of the unit. One USB-C, which is fantastic because a lot of devices are swapping over to USB-C these days. And obviously you get that fast and powerful charge with USB-C. You've got 2 standard USB-A, and then you've got a fast charge USB-A as well, which is extremely handy, again, for charging things quickly on the run. Opposite that, you have your standard 12 volt DC output in the style of a cigarette lighter plug. There's also 2 accessory cord inputs here as well. And that's actually quite handy if you're running some of the older appliances such as work lights, or even our 12-inch Coleman fan will actually run via these outlets as well. The one other really good feature with the 12 volt DC output, which is the cigarette style plug and the 2 outlets below, is that you can turn it on and off, meaning you can leave everything plugged in and then control it via the on and off switch. So that's actually quite handy with things like camp lights, as I've already discussed. Looking at the right hand side where a lot of the magic happens, down the bottom you have the first item, which is an expansion port. And what that allows you to do is to actually add in a second 720 watt hour battery pack. Now the exciting thing there is if you already own an EcoFlow River product, most of their range has an expansion capability. So that means you don't have to go out and buy a new product. You can simply buy an additional expansion battery that plugs in, and it essentially doubles the capacity of most of the units. But I'm actually in 2 trains of thought on this. If you actually had the unit and you needed extra capacity, that actually makes fairly good sense, and it's not wasting the product you already have. However, if you are hunting around and you're actually looking to buy one of these and you need that extra capacity from the start, I'd be hesitant in buying this with the expansion battery pack. What I would be looking at is a Delta series where you get the additional capacity straight up front, but you're also getting the higher output wattages from the built-in inverters also. So that's just something to think about if you're hunting around for a power station or power bank unit. But it's great that EcoFlow offer that flexibility. Up the top you have your cooling fan, and this automatically goes on and is part of the BMS protection system of the EcoFlow units. And then in the middle here you have your 2 240 volt outlets, which boost to a maximum of 1800 watts, but generally surge to around 1200 watts. And that is the safe zone for this particular unit. And really that's an interesting feature because while it's got a reasonably small inverter, being 600 watts, its X-Boost function does allow it to run much higher wattage appliances than you would normally do with such a small inverter. However, there is a catch, because what the X-Boost function does is it reduces the voltage down slightly so it can surge that wattage up. So generally speaking, if you've got voltage sensitive appliances that run above that 600 watt mark, just be a little bit careful, or you'll find they generally won't run and they'll throw up voltage error codes because they're registering the voltage drop that this unit does to surge that wattage up. And now let me quickly grab a hairdryer because that will allow me to explain how this X-Boost function really works. So if we plug it in and turn it on, it's ready to go. And so obviously with a hairdryer, you have a fan, and a heating element. And this really is the best way to describe how the X-Boost function works. So to allow the River Pro to surge up to a higher wattage, what it does is it actually manipulates the voltage down. So EcoFlow generally say that the surge function works quite well with appliances that have heating elements in them. And that's where you can run things such as your coffee maker, a sandwich press, a toaster, and all that sort of thing. In that the heating elements aren't all that sensitive. But what you'll find is they'll just take a little bit longer to get up to heat. So for example, with a sandwich maker, it'll just take that little while longer to actually toast what you're trying to cook. But with a hairdryer, for example, it's a really good way to demonstrate. Because if we turn this on and just run it on low, we can turn the heat up to high, and can you hear the fan go down? That is because it's bumping the wattage up to actually run the hairdryer, and I can feel the heat coming out of that. But the voltage has gone down, which actually slows the fan. So if we actually change the heat setting to low on the hairdryer, you'll hear the fan increases in speed. So we'll just turn that off now. But that is a really good demonstration of how the X-Boost function works. And it works really, really well. And it allows you to run a lot of appliances you wouldn't normally consider with a 600 watt powered inverter. So you just need to test a few appliances out with a bit of trial and error. And that leads me into something I've been trialling quite heavily at home, and that is induction cooking. To be honest, it's probably better suited to its bigger cousins in the Delta range, but they do say you can use induction cookers on these, and I've been really curious to try it out and see how well it works. And to be honest, it's been fairly hit and miss. Initially, I started with a Kmart 2000 watt induction cooker, which you can actually adjust down, but I found it was very hit and miss in how it worked. While you could actually kind of run it on the lower temperature scales, it didn't work all that well. And then as you tried to turn it up, through its pulsing, it started throwing up voltage errors. So that didn't work at all. But then I discovered and went on the hunt for induction cookers that are actually more suited to the lower wattage inputs. And I came across the little compact new wave cookers, which they advertise can cook at a 900 watt input setting, but it too through voltage errors. But I've come across a great solution that works perfectly with the River Pro, and that is this little neat Van Gogh Sizzle induction cooker. So this is an 800 watt induction cooker, and it's made specifically for low wattage applications, meaning you can plug this in, crank it right up to max, and off you go. And it does actually work incredibly well, which we'll show you on our recent camping trip. And I've even been trialing it with such things as cooking pastas up at home, and it really does work. It doesn't throw any errors at all. You can also obviously adjust the temperatures down if it's a little bit too hot, because it does actually get quite a lot of heat into it, which was my concern when I started getting into this. So I actually bought the Van Gogh Sizzle off Amazon, and it was imported from the UK with no hassles at all. It took about a week and a half to get here, but the only issue is it comes with the UK plug. So I did have to buy the UK to our Australian 240 volt adapter, which simply goes on, you plug the unit in, you've got no hassles at all. So this as well is going into our camping kit, because this is a really, really good product that works perfectly with the River Pro. And that leads me into how this performs out and about. On our recent camping trip, we obviously use this very heavily in 240 volt mode via our induction cooker. And that was really to test it out, because I don't think anything would be so brutal on consumption as something like that, to be honest. From a solar point of view, I bought this 200 watt solar blanket when we were on a recent trip, which has been great for charging the River Pro, especially when we're out camping. Now, I did get caught a little bit thinking that I would need a regulated input to charge this particular unit, but no. Just plug your solar panels in unregulated to the River Pro, and the EcoFlow system will work it all out for you. So the input side of this is really, really powerful and smart. And noting that no solar panel is 100% efficient, if we jump into this app screenshot, you'll see my panels generate between 120 and 130 watts on average on a sunny day, depending on where they're positioned. And based on the 50% charge, the app is indicating that the River Pro will be fully charged in around about 3 hours, which is actually pretty good, to be honest. Obviously, having both the USB-C and the USB-A fast charge is really good when you're on the run and charging a lot of high-powered devices, and that just allows you to more efficiently charge them and top this up if you need to get it back to 100% charge so it's ready for its night use. So getting back to that camping trip, I kept it fairly simple over the weekend, to be honest. It was a real hot weekend and I really just wanted to see what this would do. So firstly, let's start with breakfast. Yes, it cooks bacon as well as eggs without too much drama at all. In fact, I probably overcooked the eggs a little bit while I was fiddling around in the background, including making a few coffees. We drew down about 40% of the battery. It was probably about 35 because we started a little bit low because we were running the lights last night. And most other things I've done, I've used about 20% in a cooking session. So that was pretty much double just for the time it took to cook them. But now for the exciting bit, and that is you can use a coffee pod machine. So that is a real advantage when you're out bush camping. You can make a nice cup of coffee in the morning to get you on your way. Just like that. But one thing I did come across with our particular pod machine, and I'd say that most might have that issue, is that it initially threw up an error code. And I think that came from its internal checks in that it couldn't get up to temperature within a select period of time. So all I did, just like a computer, I turned it off and then back on. It went back through its heating cycle and it was ready to go. So if you do have that error, just turn it off, turn it back on, let it go back through its heating cycle, and then it might just take a little bit longer to heat up between cycles, that's all. For us, pretty much every camping trip has to have pancakes at least one morning for breakfast. And again, it cooked the pancakes with ease. And this is probably where I'll note that using induction cooking, particularly with a low capacity battery such as this, is probably more suited to 1 or 2 people. Because when you introduce a family of 4, that means you need to cook a lot more. And the to cook that number of pancakes meant that it took a fair while, and we used, I think, around about 50% of our battery capacity. And then on Saturday night we made burgers just to keep things nice and simple again, but I did mix it up by using beef and pork patties with a little bit of cheese mixed in. We even found a little surprise on one when we flipped it over. And I'm cooking these beef and pork patties, and check this out. I've got a little smiley face on the patty, and I didn't plan this at all. That's hilarious. And from memory on that particular cook, we used around 40% of the battery capacity cooking those burgers. That then had to run our camp lights overnight, and then it had to back up and cook bacon and eggs the next morning, as well as a few coffees as well. But given it was first thing in the morning, we could simply plug the panels in, charge it back up, and it's ready to go again. Unless you're using this as a supplementary system, you're probably going to do most of your cooking from a butane cooker or an LPG barbecue, and leave this to run your camp fridge, run your camp lights, charge all your devices, and keep it all nice and simple, and it's perfect for that. And that leads me on to what are my final thoughts about the EcoFlow River Pro. Love it. It's fantastic. It really did everything I wanted it to do and more, to be honest. The fact that I could actually run an induction cooker off this was quite surprising, to be honest. And in our particular instance, we've got a new ute on order, and this will be perfect for putting in the back instead of doing a fixed dual battery installation. Meaning I can just pull it out, we can leave it at camp, or we can take it with us on quick trips away. If we don't even have a caravan or camper trailer with us, we're just using swags and a rooftop tent, this thing will be perfect. So I'm keeping it in my kit. I love it. Yes, you could do some cheaper fixed install options such as a big lithium system in your caravan or camper trailer, dual battery system in your car or ute or something like that, but you don't get the portability and adaptability that you get with something like this. We've got multiple vehicles, camp trailers, caravans, and we really need something we can carry from vehicle to vehicle, camp trailer to caravan, depending on what we're doing. And this fits that bill perfectly as a supplement to the power systems we've already got. And for a little while, it's going to mean I don't need to upgrade to lithium in our Jayco journey. So that's a good thing as well. It actually leads me into wanting to try the Delta out, to be honest, or even the Delta Mini. The Delta, given it's got an 1800 watt inverter in it, will do pretty much anything we ask of it on any of our camping trips, particularly any long ones. The only thing you're probably limited with there is obviously air conditioning. But then you're starting to get into weights as well, noting that the Delta Mini is 3 kilos heavier than this. The Delta itself is double the weight of the River Pro, even though it's got that extra capacity and output. But obviously the higher capacity you get, the more you're using it, the more solar or power you need to top these back up as well. So that's obviously always a consideration. So that's pretty much it. I'm really amazed that a company has sent us this. It's really a testament to everyone that's been watching our videos. And I thank you all a lot for that. And obviously people are starting to see the content that we're producing. And that's a really good thing because we get to test out some cool things from time to time. And that allows us to present it, give our thoughts, and for you at home, you can choose if this will work in your particular circumstance or not. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. That's pretty cool. I saw that on a video the other day, so I thought I'd use it in this. Go and check out the EcoFlow range. They've got a really, really good website where you can actually compare all these units with each other. Keeps it all nice and simple. And please put a few comments down below on what you think about these portable power banks. But for now, I better get going. So as I always say, thanks for watching. Get out there, stay safe, have fun, and we'll catch you next time.